For, 6 million years, we came up on the savannah with everything wanting to take a bite of us, and because of that, because there were always teeth in the darkness wanting to eat us, I feel like horror got hardwired into us. It's part of who we are as people. Like, being a person is being afraid. And so fast forward till today, we shine lights into all the corners. We shoot all the scary animals. We sterilize all the surfaces. Our world doesn't offer the same kind of spikes of terror as it used to. And I think we miss that, fundamentally miss that. So when we engage horror stories, however we engage them, they give us those spikes of terror that remind us we're human. And we can feel like our programming has a reason now. I am Stephen Graham Jones. This is Dear Final Girls. Dear Final Girls, you don't have time to read this, I know. You're probably in the third reel already. Most of your friends slaughtered, a mascara shape stalking you, always there when you least expect it. Soon you're gonna have to rise to a level you didn't know you had in you. Only you can rebalance the world, temporarily. But on the chance your story hasn't started yet, on the chance it's still the summer before your senior year, say, and you're clutching a stack of books to your chest, wearing a path between your house and a library or volunteer shift or nursing home or wherever it is you go to establish you're not putting yourself in harm's way, if that's you, if the leaves haven't turned yet, if you still never seen what a blade can do to a neck when applied with the proper violence, then listen for a moment, please. I write a lot of horror novels. I write comic books. I like to watch horror film. I grew up in West Texas. I'm Blackfeet, married, 2 kids. That's me. My earliest memory, I think I'm about probably between 3 and 4, living in Big Spring, Texas. My mom is married to a guy who really wants to be Rod Stewart. Like, he has the dress down, he had long curly hair, and he tried to dye it to be blonde like Rod Stewart, ended up kind of red, which is kind of where Jay Daniels' hair color comes from. And he had it must have been a 75 Trans Am that had T-tops on it. We would just blast up and down the interstate for all of Sunday afternoon, and he would get that speedometer pegged. I want to say those old Pontiacs pegged probably 160, and I'd be standing in the passenger seat holding his beer. Like, it took 2 hands to hold his beer, And we're doing that one day, and he takes a right that we haven't taken before. And in West Texas, we have a thing called caliche pits, and he took me to a really big one, and we went up to the edge of the cliff edge. And he was holding my hand because we were probably 60, 80 feet up, and we looked over, and you get that weird feeling, like, am I going to jump? Am I going to fall? And then he said, all right. And he had me take a step back, and he handed me his beer to hold again. And so I held it with both hands. And he said, watch this, Stevie. He pivoted on his right foot, a toe of his right foot, swung around over the open space and dropped, and he was gone. And I so distinctly remember standing there, holding that beer and crying. Probably about 4 or 5 minutes later, he taps me on the shoulder while I'm standing there crying. And it turns out that at that particular place on that cliff edge, if you know what to do, you can slide off, step off, and you play jokes on people that way. So he played that joke on me. And I've always thought that's where I got hooked into horror, because what I had was that terror, the tension, I'm going to die, I'm alone, and then that tap on the shoulder that I'm all right. This is life and death we're talking about. Soon a slasher will rise. It may be the left for dead victim of some grade school prank, or it may be your best friend in a latex mask. But as soon as some event gets planned, a party, a dance, a reunion, a holiday, it doesn't matter so long as there's enough bodies for a massacre. That will wake your slasher from its long slumber. Yes. The two of you are already bound together. Your timid naivete, the only thing that can finally, desperately get turned inside out enough to put this slasher back to sleep for a while. You, not your friends. Simply put, they don't have what it takes. Look at them. Aren't they already engaged in some sort of violence? Be it social cruelty or slow self-destruction, their pendulum, as it were, is not cocked back far enough to knock the slasher down. Yours, though, You're still at the top of that dangerous arc. It's all flowers and unicorns where you are now. But there's blood waiting for you on the back end of that swing. There's gallons of blood, walls of gore. Yeah, growing up, I lived with my grandparents a lot, way out in the country. A little place called Greenwood. We did not have a post office. We were just a bunch of trailers out in the pastures, pretty much, living among the pump jacks and the coyotes and everything. Our dads all worked in the oil field or drove tractors. I've witnessed some amazingly violent stuff, but I'm trying to think of one that I can say on camera. Let me think. The way it is in West Texas is everybody's got a gun of some sort. You can always snake your dad's gun or your uncle's gun or your big brother's gun or something. And so started out with pellet guns and 22s, I guess. And we would go out into the pastures and the buffalo wallows and just shoot every bird and little critter we could possibly get into our sights, which is terrible. I don't recommend people do that. We didn't know any other way to be, so we did it. But never had a tag, never had a license, any of that. Never were in places we were supposed to be either. I had two main uncles growing up. One of them was the truck guy, the farming guy. We would go out into the lawn, my grandma's lawn, and he'd shoot arrows straight up, and we'd watch that arrow disappear into the sky, and then he'd say, "Is it gonna hit us?" And we never knew, But my other uncle was the book uncle. He's the one who, when I was, 11, I guess, maybe 12, he pulls open his linen closet, and instead of having sheets and pillows and stuff in there, that's his library. He has mass market paperbacks, floor to ceiling, side to side, front to back. There had to be 600 books in there, And he said, "You can take 3 of these, and when you finish those, bring them back, and I'll give you 3 more." And I went through his whole closet that way over, a year. I was always the weirdo in West Texas. I was the only person who ever had a Mickey Spillane book in my back pocket, Everybody else would make fun of me when I'd be over in the corner reading. But that didn't stop me from reading. I didn't graduate high school the normal way. Everybody was surprised when I graduated. But when I got my diploma, my mother took me out for a dinner. She said, "You've always been reading." And I said, "Yeah, I'll always be reading." And she said, "You should be among people who also read." And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about," because I'd never experienced that. And she said, "I've saved up enough to send you to 1 semester of college." I said, "You got to get out of town. This town is going to kill you if you stay here." She gave me a suitcase. This is all part of the process. Don't worry. Bloodlust can only be counteracted by that specific timidity about lust you already have. It's a dance older than either of you, than any of us. It's a dynamo that surges the world ahead year after year. And I don't mean to deny you that cathartic self-realization when you finally take up that machete or that axe or that chainsaw. This is a baptism we all understand. In blood. Yes, taking the trash out, I'm always nervous about werewolves, but I'm also a little excited. Like, maybe I see one. Maybe it kills me, but in the last few moments I get to see one, and that would be amazing. I am Stephen Graham Jones.
I'm Paul Tremblay.
My name is Elizabeth Hand.
I'm Laird Barron.
I'm Mariana Enriquez.
I was born in Palmer, Alaska. You'll feel the hackles rise on your neck. Somebody's staring daggers at you. People lose their minds up there.
I don't think about evil when I write. I just think about people.
We need to fictionalize horror things in order to be normal social beings.
If only these stories were that easy.
I write about that moment a lot. These people are just stuck inside this wider maelstrom of things that are beyond their control.
There would be hell to pay.
I think that we are all capable of evil acts. I would hope that I would not be, but under the right/wrong circumstances, I might be.
Again, Kate, I take one step.
And I don't want to think that any of you might be, but maybe you would be.